welcome to the 44th episode of the Yarn Junkie podcast. My name is Amber, and if this is your first time checking me out, welcome. I'm coming to you from Texas, where I live with my husband, 2 girls, our 3 dogs, chickens, and pet snake. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back, guys. This is my crafty podcast about all things yarn. I knit, I crochet, I spin, and I've got a ton to show you guys today. So grab your beverage of choice and your project of choice and buckle in. And I'm so glad that you are here to check out what I've been up to. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks since I last recorded. I've been super busy, which I'll get to at the end. That way, if you're only here for the knitting, you don't have to stay and hear my random life chatter. But yeah, so it's been a couple of weeks. I do have a finished object, beautiful finished object. It's my loop by Casapinka, and I've had this in my queue for a while, but I didn't want to cast it on until I saw Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker just recently knit this, and as soon as I saw hers, I had to cast mine on, and this was a quick knit. I am not a very monogamous knitter, and I think I knit this in about 3 weeks, which is good for me for a shawl. It is a smaller shawl. I use 2 skeins of sock weight yarn. The gray, I have my leftovers. The gray is this sparkly yarn by Brazen Stitchery, and it is her paparazzi sock base in the Gandalf colorway. And then the pink is this Hedgehog Fibers variegated yarn in colorway Villain, and it's just their twist sock base, I want to say. And I got that awesome stitch marker from my friend Melissa of Knitty by Nature. So these are the 2 yarns I used. This is what I have left over. I also used this in my heels and toes for my Fine and Dandy socks, which are hanging right there. And I thought about doing it. I remember, if you remember, doing my band of my featherweight. But this is a super variegated yarn, and anything I started knitting with it, I just didn't really like the outcome until I put it in this project. And I really feel like this is just the best way to show off a super busy variegated yarn. Any of Casapinka's shawls, because she does this, the loop one, there's a new one out, I think it's called like the Moon. I'm not sure, but I want to knit her latest shawl too that's a lot like this. And I don't want to give too much away on the pattern, but the stitch is easy, but I did need a super sharp needle to execute it, so I got Hiya Sharps, and it was my first time using Hiya Sharps, and I really enjoyed them. And yeah, I blocked it out using my blocking wires. Something else I will say about this, I need to be more mindful when I carry my yarns, so I decided not to carry my pink across that many rows of gray. When I did my daybreak, I carried the yarn, and one of the ends doesn't block out as far as the other, the end that I carried the yarn on. And the same is true for the pink section. You can see where it like ripples a bit, where it just didn't block out because it didn't have the give. And so I either need to be more mindful and add more yarn in there, or just not carry my yarns at all, ever. Because this side blocked out nice and straight and long and beautiful. So, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about that, other than I have no idea how to wear circular shawls, so they're not my favorite to knit, but I have a bunch of circular shawls in my queue. I think triangle shawls are more my jam. They just, yeah, I don't know. I did post a picture to Instagram the other day. I was waiting in a drive-through line trying to figure out how to wear this, so I had it like this. And I had my sunglasses on, so. It does match my featherweight so incredibly, and I actually ended up getting some fabric to sew a dress, and I didn't bring it over. I'm gonna grab it right quick to show you. It's technically acquisitions, but it was a couple of weeks ago that I got it, so I'm gonna play the part of Molly, and excuse me, I'll keep talking to you. The fabric's like right behind you, so in this little cabinet, I am back. So I bought, oh my gosh, isn't that gonna be beautiful? And I did post a picture of this on Instagram, so if you follow me, this is kind of redundant. But the picture really didn't do it justice, the fabric justice. So it's this really light gray with these silver doves. I love it, and it's going to be a beautiful dress. And I've had this pattern for also a few months now, and it's an easy to sew, learn to sew. I have sewed a very, very small amount. I made a Trella's Halloween costume one year. I should bring up the picture of that and try to put it in the group or something. It was one of the first things I ever sewed on a machine, and it was like that satiny fabric. I made her a Snow White dress. Why I took that on, I have no idea. It looked amazing, but so I want to sew A. The length, probably exactly what she has on. Oh, that is C. Oh, A has pockets, that's the difference, yeah. Because I'm a pocket person. If it's got pockets, I love it. So that will be soon. I actually have been sewing. It's kind of not really a finished object. I need to grab it because it's over there. Hang on, again. It's not really a finished object, but it almost is. And Prudence is pretty excited by it. So I decided to just try my hand at sewing them a few skirts, them being my two daughters, Prudence and Atrella, who are 5 and 10. If this is your first time joining, you don't know that, there you go. So this is just some fabric, random fabric pieces that we had in the stash. And I sewed a couple of panels together. And I did terrible when I was doing the casing. I didn't pin it because I was being lazy, and so it wrenched. But it's okay because it's supposed to be wrenched with the elastic, and I haven't finished sewing it inside because I need Prudence to be here to measure it, and then when she's here on the weekends, I'm at work. It's lame. If you hear ambient noise, my husband works from home. And I also need to hem it. So she's pretty excited about it. I'm gonna put pockets on it because we all love pockets. And that's my sewing progress. And hopefully I can do this dress too and be able to show you guys a finished object soon. So that's all my whips. I will be right back that's all my finished objects. I will be right back to show you my whips. I also wanted to talk to you guys about my cowl. So Stephanie of the Milkshed blog and I have been wanting to knit the Doodler for a minute, and we decided to go ahead and co-host a cowl. It's a very loose knit along. She's got a lot of life stuff going on, as do I. So if you have been wanting to knit this, we would love for you to join. I've got a thread going in my group. There's seriously no pressure, but cast on September 1st. And finish up by October 31st. I don't plan to cast mine on until probably closer to October, and then treat it as Stephen West, the mystery knit along, was a 4-week knit along. So do clue 1, do clue 2, etc., and then until you're done. So I've had my yarns caked up for a while. I'm still not sure on my color B, I think it is. I kind of want to use all hand-dyed yarn instead of commercially produced yarn. And I've had this in my Fawn and the Fox tree print bag since I've caked up my yarn. I originally had planned to use this as my color A, or B, the cable section, the short row section, and then these be the border in order like this. Dark to light, light being at the end. So that was kind of my inspiration, and my inspiration for this was the monarch butterfly because it's the state insect of Texas, and I just thought it would be a pretty shawl since it kind of looks like a butterfly wing anyway. and so many people had said that, and it's like a metamorphosis, and So I have since changed my mind on using this. I just don't feel like it's the right color gray. But I love this from Knit Picks. And this is Train Station. But again, I kind of just want to use all hand-dyed yarn. So what I think I'm going to do is get the Folsom colorway from Lola. Lola Did It. I haven't used her yarn yet, but of course every podcaster on earth has been talking about Lola Did It. And there's two grays that I want of hers, the Coal Miner's Daughter and then the Folsom. I just love her tonal gray. I think actually her husband is the one that dyes the tonals. If I'm wrong about that, forgive me, but I think that's right. I've heard that and read that, I'm pretty sure. So this is still to be decided, and I have a couple of more weeks before I'm casting this on anyway. So this is for certain. This may change. I originally got this to cast on some socks, so it can still be socks. That knit along will be going on now, cast on now. If you have a whip, great, you can definitely enter that. I ask that it not be more than, say, 30% done, to be fair. And if you are a maker and would like to donate prizes, please get in touch. I don't really have a lot, but I was planning on picking up a few things to maybe entice more people to knit along. So, what else do I have? Let me take a peek at my notes. The graveyard cow. So Katrina of Cat's Kettle has been talking about hosting the graveyard cow, and it's kicked off, and I have so many projects that are in the graveyard that have not been touched, looked at, knitted with in such a long time. One of those is this amazing sweater that I started a long, long time ago and never finished. So this was a crocheted sweater I was working on, and I got the idea. This is just a pattern from my head. I was trying to mimic a knit sweater, a store-bought knit sweater, and I actually ended up casting on to knit. But most of this is like I have almost a complete sweater. Here's a sleeve, here's part of the collar, here is another sleeve, here is 2 front panels, and here is the back section, which is complete. And I'm frogging it, all of this work, and I'm not going to be happy with this as a finished object, so I just feel like the best thing to do is frog it. This was just a front post crochet stitch. Again, I was just kind of making it up based on the sweater that I had in my closet. I do love the yarn. I definitely want to make a sweater from this. I'm thinking the Portage, which is, I have the pattern in my library. I can't think of the designer, but it's the Portage, and it's got this really cool honeycomb design on the back, and then the front ribbing turns to pockets. It's amazing. Go look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Another sweater that I started last year. So my local knit group was hosting a knit along for the Rosemont, which is from Hannah Fettig in her Home and Away book. And if you're unfamiliar with what that sweater looks like, there it is. So I bought yarn all ready to cast on. If you remember, I'm a new knitter, so last year I was a very, very, very new knitter, and I didn't really understand about yarn weights before I bought my sweater quantity worth of yarn. So I believe that particular pattern asks for a worsted, it says Quince & Co. Lark, which is a worsted weight yarn, or just whatever. This is more of a DK weight. I bought it stating it's a worsted, but it's definitely a DK. It's kind of thinner. And then once I had it, I didn't really once I started knitting it, I was thinking, what am I gonna do with a sparkly green sweater? When I first bought it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is gonna be the best Christmas sweater ever. And then as I was knitting it, I kind of fell out of love with the yarn. And I just really didn't like the gauge it was knitting at that. You can see kind of through it. So I will frog this, and what I'm thinking about making that into, because I still do, I have since fallen back in love with the yarn. I've since decided it will indeed make the most amazing Christmas sweater, and I will live in it for the month of December. So I plan, sorry, bear with me while I try to find the pattern. The calligraphy. This is from the same book, and it is knit in DK weight, smaller needles, so I'm thinking this will be a better option for that particular yarn. And I really like the collar. I don't know, you can't really see it, but it's got this big shawl-like collar. So that's what that will be. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon at all. But, and definitely not by the end of the cowl. There's no way I could knit a sweater by the end of the cowl, much less two of them. So what I have pulled out of my stash to work on are a couple of hats. I don't have one of them with me, but the one I've been working on this week in my little sock cube. Isn't this the cutest thing? So I had one of these favorited for a while. This is from Nomadic Yarns, and I really like these colors, but I didn't buy it just because I didn't think that I would like it. But then Laura showed off the same fabric cube, and I was like, you know what, that looks like it does fit a lot, and it does. So I have and you can fold it over like this to make it a yarn bowl so the zipper doesn't snag your yarn, and just knit out of it. And I have a cake of yarn in here, and this is Hue Loco yarn in her tweedy sock base in colorway Purple People Eater. And I bought this last year around my birthday, cast on for a sock head hat, and then did the ribbing and was over it and put it down for a long time. So now that it's coming up on fall, I definitely need a hat. This is just gorgeous, and I want to finish it. So I brought it back out, and I knit all of this at work this weekend. I can knit at work a little bit during my downtimes, and I managed to knit probably almost 3 inches. And I think I need to look at this sock head hat pattern again. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, but I think it wants you to knit either 7 to 9 inches of stockinette before you start your decreases. And I do like a slouchy hat, but we'll just see how much I knit before I get sick of it and just want to finish it. But it's going to be such a gorgeous fall hat. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I will definitely get this hat done by the end of the cowl. So it's alive. She has a thread, Cat's Kettle, has a thread on her group about projects that are alive, projects that you're going to thread. So those are dead projects. Thread. I meant frog. Projects that you're going to frog. Like my sweaters are going to be frogged, so I'll put those in the dead section of her cowl. So what else? I will turn my page on my notes. The Sweet Cowl, Jacqueline of the Brooklyn Knit Folks podcast, has been hosting a read-along for this book series. I'm on the third volume and third book of the third volume. And I like this series. I like reading it. It's about a girl who finds out she's a witch, if you're into that type of thing. Something I will say, I think that it's assumed that you've read volume 1 and volume 2 when reading this series. So at the beginning of each book, there's 3 books in this volume, she goes over a synopsis of what's happened. It gets really, really redundant after the third book, and you're in the third volume, and you're like reading the same information about Morgan being adopted. And it's just, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it's just, I don't want to read the same information over and over, especially if it's assumed that it's a series that you're reading. That's just my weird complaint about it. But her knit along, she's asking it's really, really cool. So she has picked, the whole book talks about, the 4 elements, because it's witchcraft. It talks about air, earth, fire, and water. So Jacqueline, I'm not going to bore you guys with it. If you care, go to her page. She's got a whole video about it. But she picked 2 patterns for each element and just asked that you just knit what inspired you. And it just so happens that my anniversary was yesterday with my husband, our dating anniversary. So we've been together for 15 years, and I wanted to knit him a hunting hat. He's been asking for a new hunting hat. And one of the patterns that she picked was the fleecency hat. And I was just recently gifted this pattern, or I won it in a giveaway. Thank you so much to, oh my gosh, now I'm totally blanking on the designer. You know who you are. And y'all know who the designer of the Fleece and Sea hat is. There's a bunch of people knitting it right now. And it's a really nice pattern. I don't have a picture of it because I didn't print it out. I've just been looking at it on my phone. I was actually a little bit further along, but then I started thinking I wasn't doing the stitch right because it just didn't line up the way I thought it should. So I frogged it all the way back to the ribbing and kind of set it aside. I was aiming to have this done by yesterday. Obviously that didn't happen. And my husband doesn't mind as long as he has it by the time it gets cold. Again, we live in Texas, and while fall is definitely trying to make its presence known, we're still looking at a solid month before he needs a hat. Probably 2 for him, because he's just not a very cold nature person. I will need a hat in a month. I freeze. I'm in a sweater. I live in my featherweight. I wanted a featherweight sweater for summer because I knew that I needed it. Air conditioner, I'm just freezing all the time. But this is Madeline Tosh Vintage in moss. Dropped it. Moss. 100% superwash merino. I really like the stitch definition on this, and this colorway has a bunch of red flecks in it, which match my husband's beard. And so the reason why I was kind of like freaking out about the connections. So the book talks about over and over and over again, there are no coincidences. There are no coincidences, meaning everything's kind of fated already to be. So I just so happened to pick the hat that Jacqueline had chose for the air sign. My husband is a Gemini, so his sign is air. And then also green, she put another little color meaning section underneath. And green is just really great for plant and animal magic. I can't remember all the things, but I just thought that would be good for hunting. And it wasn't even something that was predetermined by me. It's just the things that I happened to pick. And then reading her knit along page, I was just like, what? It just matches up so well, which fed my knitting happy like no other. And I have this all in my Diana Couture tree bag because I love it. I put this one in my D-stash, but then, I don't know, I really love the print. I don't so much love the shape of this project bag, but it does. I mean, it works really well for a hat. So I have a worsted weight ball of yarn in here and my ribbing on my hat done with circular needles, and it fits all with it shut. So what else do I have to show you guys? Acquisitions. Oh no, my other graveyard cow, graveyard project. So something else that has been hibernating for an embarrassing amount of time. I started this, I did a Mother's Day knit along. If you've been following me for a while, you'll remember that I lost my mom in December and wanted to do like a Mother's Day remembrance shawl in this colorway that she had picked out. She had chose this for me to make her a pair of socks, and then when she passed away, I decided to knit a shawl out of it so I could just have something to remember my mom by. And I started the Whispering Pine shawl by Molly, and then just sort of lost steam on it, mostly because I'm beading it, and I can only work on this at the table, and I don't really knit at the table. I knit everywhere else. So there's the beads. So pretty, so pretty. And I think I have like 19 or 20 more repeats of the 4-row repeats, 19 or 20 more of those before I get to the lace part. And then the lace part will be this color. This is a Madeline Tosh 80-10-10 in colorway Cotopaxi. And then this is a Dream in Color Smushy with Cashmere. I can't remember the colorway name. If you really want to know though, I could probably look it up. It's deep, deep stash. I've had this blue since Tim and I went to New Orleans, which was 2 or 3 years ago for his birthday. I want to say it was 3 years ago. It might have been 2. I'm not sure. It wasn't last year. I know that. So that's going to be the lace border. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I do so happen to have a black and white photo of the shawl. So I am doing all of this right now, and then once I get to there, I will switch colors. It's not designed to be a two-tone project, but I've looked at the project page a couple times and I've seen others that are like two-toned, and I really like that. So I have been working on this week. I think I've done like one 4-row repeat. But I have taken it back out. I bought myself this a couple of weeks ago. Katrina of Cat's Kettle was posting these that her sister made. I don't want to spill my beads out, but I still want to show it to you guys. So this is just a little notions dish or bead dish that Katrina's sister made. And I've since started following Katrina's sister on Etsy. I wish I could think of your name. I know it's ceramic something or another. I'm sorry. And she's got this really cool succulents planner that I want too. But I bought myself that in hopes that it would entice me to work on this, and of course it didn't, but now I'm working on it again. And I've got it all in my chicken bag by Molly Klein Design. And this was sitting out on the table this morning open like this, and Atrella was like, "Whoa, I love this bag." And she talked about how it was light on the outside and dark on the inside, and she just didn't expect that fabric. And I was like, I know, it's one of my favorite things about it. So this is one of my new favorite shawl bags. Thank you so much, Molly. And what else do I want to show you? Oh, I could not help myself. Autumn is in the air, whether I like it or not. I'm not a fall person. Every knitter in my life right now is raving about how they're so excited it's fall and fall is here. I'm a summer. I mean, I was born in November, so technically I'm a fall, but I'm a summer lover 120% of the time. I would rather be blazing hot and sweating than the least bit cold. And to me, it's always so cold when fall gets here, and I can never dress warmly enough. Maybe that will change now that I'm knitting all the things, but I'm never that warm. So I could not help myself. Since autumn is in the air, I cast on for this. I showed you guys this a few weeks ago. This was on sale, so I bought a sweater's quantity worth of this Knit Picks tweed in their colorway Autumn Heather. And I thought it would be a beautiful flax light. And I cast on for it. And I actually thought I was doing the increases for the raglan wrong, so I frogged back to the ribbing last night, and I am now back to where I frogged from. And I hope that I'm doing it right. I'm still not convinced, but what's so funny about this is I was knitting on the ribbing at Knit Night this past Thursday, and the ladies asked me what I was knitting, and I said the flax light, and they were like, "We thought you were knitting a hat. That's your head hole? There's no way that's gonna fit." So I had to take it off the needles, put it on some other needles to prove them wrong, and it fits fine, and it's great. And I was flipping them obscenities in my mind, and they are all laughing and saying how I proved them wrong. So I have that in my Lone Larch bag. Jenny made this, and I think it's very autumnal and very pretty. In here I have a Fawn in the Fox Notions pouch. So Lara sent me this a few months ago, and I have all my little notions in there. So not too much to say about this. I do have all my little Cat's Kettle has these hexagon markers. I love these. They're so easy to slip when you're knitting, and they don't snag anything. So those are my favorite for when you're actually having to pay attention to your stitch count. And I have her little pumpkin on here that she sent out with her Halloween club. So I think that's all my whips. And I'll be right back. I'm looking around to make sure. I'll be right back to show you guys my acquisitions. Okay, so my first acquisition, I don't think I've showed you this, but I've got this yarn from Cat's Kettle. She posted it a couple of weeks ago, and it is in her Telltale Heart colorway. And I have had this in my stash for a while. Someone gave it to me, so I don't have a tag for it. I'm pretty sure it's skein yarn. I don't know the base. It's a very lightweight, loosely plied yarn. So if you could help me with the base, if you're familiar with skein yarn. But the colorways, I just thought that it would be a really good shawl. And the shawl that I'm going to knit is the Brioche Shawl by Mina Phillip. So a lot of people have knit this. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the French name. I'm just going to call it the Squishy the entire time I'm knitting it. And I feel like it's going to be an awesome, awesome brioche shawl. And that's, you know, how crazy I am. I keep getting yarn and putting it in a project bag with the pattern. And then, you know, it just sits for months until I'm ready. But it's there, it's planned. I have yarn for it. Yay for having a plan for the yarn. Some others that I got. So if you remember me showing you this, I've had this for a minute. And it's another cat's kettle yarn in a one-of-a-kind colorway, so it doesn't have a name. But it's just this really pretty tonal purple yarn that's got shots of green. Y'all know purple and green are my jam. So I've had this in the stash for a while, and I was thinking a shawl, but I wanted to make more sweaters. I want to make more sweaters because I know I wear a lot of sweaters in the winter. And recently, Shannon of the Socksetra podcast knit the Breathing Space sweater. It's gorgeous. And Gabby of Once Upon a Corgi has recently made the switch from having a job to dyeing yarn full-time. So congratulations, Gabby. And to help in that endeavor, I obviously had to order some of her yarn. I'd been meaning to for a while, but I hadn't until now. So she had posted this yarn and talked about a story of her high school friend having a pickle tattoo. But again, you guys, green and purple. It's just so pretty. And this is in her Naya base, which is, no, it's an Audrey. Nia is the name. Audrey base, 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon. Thought that would be a durable pullover to pair with this softer yarn. And then I needed a gray. I felt like the top part of the breathing space was going to be beautiful in this. But then I was second guessing myself because this is a bamboo blend yarn, and I was thinking maybe the drape would be better for a shawl. So then I picked this up at my yarn store, but I don't feel like that's quite the right gray either, which is fine. I can always return this. And I'm thinking Coal Miner's Daughter from Lola Did It would be the perfect gray. So again, I need her Folsom for my doodler, and then her Coal Miner's Daughter for this. I just think that will be a good gray to go with these two yarns. But I still might use this. I haven't entirely decided on that. And that's all in this fringe supply bag. I just recently did a big bag destash so I can get this because I've been coveting it for a year, and I finally decided that I just needed it. If you remember, if you are on Instagram, Fringe Supply just posted one of their people that have this bag did an embroidery of feathers on theirs. Yeah, so I've been lusting pretty hard after this and decided to get one. Another yarn that I ordered from Once Upon a Corgi was this because pumpkin spice. Now, I'm not one of those fanatics that has to have the pumpkin spice latte as soon as it comes out. I used to really love them, but then I developed an allergy to something that they put in them, so I don't drink them anymore. But I do love pumpkin. Pumpkin time is so beautiful, and she's doing a knit along for this colorway, or just a pumpkin knit along in general, I think, until Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna make some fingerless mitts with this. This is her Isaac base, which is 100% Polworth. I've never knit Polworth, and I'm pretty excited to give it a shot. So congratulations, Gabby, for your new full-time adventure. That's it, guys. That's all I have to show you guys. No, it's not. So one more thing. I know I said no more shawls, but when your knit group is hosting a knit along, you cannot help but join in. And I think this will be the perfect transition from just doing, the only brioche I've done is on the exploration station. And as you know, that's only a little 20 to 30 row section in the entire shawl. So in order to knit Mina's entire brioche shawl, I kind of wanted to practice my brioche more, and this is actually going to be the perfect thing. So this is called All About That Brioche, and it is a triangle shawl, which I like. It says, is a triangular sideways bias knit shawl with a curved top edge. You start knitting with just a few stitches and then you work your way up. So without giving too much away, here's another photo of the shawl. So you knit, 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 and then you do like 2 sections of brioche and then you knit. And these are garter sections here. So I just thought that would be a good little practice for getting my brioche game back. And I have been having my eye on these colorways that I got since West 7th Wool opened. And I decided to treat myself last knit night, and I got these 2 gorgeous skeins of yarn, and I feel like that's going to be perfect for a fall cast on as well. I mean, I think those colors scream Halloween Town, and it's going to match my what's it called, sockhead hat really well too. And like I said, green and purple's my jam, y'all. Green and purple's my jam. So I'm excited about this, and I'll probably cast on. The cast on date for our knit along is going to be this Thursday. So even if I don't get in at night, I'm feeling like I'm going to cast on, so I'm there in spirit. And that's definitely all I have to show you guys. If you're still with me, thanks for sticking it out. I will probably tack on another little video at the end of Atrella. She's been doing some crafting, and even though she's in school right now, when she gets home, she's asked if she can sit down and do a podcast. So she can show you guys what she's been working on. And some people have sent her some stuff and given her some stuff, so she wants to thank those people as well. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. If not, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Hey guys, so I'm back. I'm gonna knit and chat with you guys for a bit because there was some stuff that I wanted to share with y'all that I totally forgot. If you saw a bunch of shadows and heard a lot of ambient noise a while ago, my husband was sitting right here waiting for me to wrap it up so I could go run errands with him. And that was kind of awkward, but it also made me forget to say a bunch of stuff. And here comes Lucy, but we'll ignore her and she'll go lay down. Go lay down. So last week I got a call that I'd been waiting for, so I applied for another job. Go lay down. Go. I was talking with one of my daughter's teachers, and she was asking, so if you don't know what I do, I have a part-time job. Now that my girls are back in school, I work at a restaurant during the weekends only. We live out at a kind of lake town, so it's more of a resort than anything else. People come here during the summer. There's a lot of busy craziness during the summer, and then in the winter it's dead, and there's not a lot of people that come out here. Some people still do, and there are people that live out here full-time like us, but it's way crazier and busier during the summer. So I got a part-time job as a hostess in one of the restaurants that's directly on the lake out here. And it was a lot of fun, good people watching job, and I do like it, and I'm still working there, but it just doesn't pay a lot. My spending habits far outweighed my part-time job habits. So I applied. One of my daughter's teachers, as I was saying, has a husband that works out here at one of the golf resorts, and he was saying how he needed another beverage cart girl, and that she had done the job before, and that she made good money doing it, and it's just easy. You get to drive around a cart and serve cold drinks all day to golfers, and that the tips are good. So I started that job. I had my first day, today's Monday, so it was Friday. Friday was my first day, and it was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I worked from about 9 until 1 driving a golf cart. The one downside is the golf cart's a little older, so it kind of smelled like gasoline. Another downside, it's one of the most beautiful golf courses in Texas, but it's also pretty dangerous. There's a lot of cliffs and drop-offs and just different things. And so you're in a golf cart, and so it can feel like when you're driving on the edge of a path, it just feels a little bit scary. And the golf cart is very top heavy, or the back of it's very heavy because the cooler full of drinks. And I don't weigh a lot, and so going on some of the hills, it gets kind of dicey. So, I mean, but all in all, it's a fun job. It's something that gets me outside. The golf course is beautiful. The views are stunning. If you follow me on Instagram, actually I don't think I posted any photos of the actual course, just of myself. But I will post pictures of the course, and so you can see it's pretty cool. And it doesn't really take me away from my kids that much. And as I've said, my husband works from home, so he's here on the weekends, and then I see them all the time after school, which is kind of a bummer for me. And working weekends will only be through like October for us, for our season. So then I'll get all of November, December, January, February, just being home again with them. And, my work will pick up again through like March through October is our busy time. And if you live anywhere where you have seasonal tourists come in, I'm sure you can understand this. I know Stephanie of the Milkshed blog also does like a ATV and rental, and I think she also does snow rental. So she gets a very short lull in her season before she gets busy again. But what else? What else did I want to chatter about? I'm going to go to Stitches, Texas, which is coming up. It is September 12th, as I've said, and it is going to be Stitches. I will be at Stitches September 24th. That's the Saturday. And my girls, both the girls want to come with me, so I will have Etrella and Prudence in tow. I asked Prudence, I'm like, Etrella went with me last year. She had a lot of fun. She learned to knit on the way, and it was great for her. And I mean, Prudence is 5, though. Etrella's 10 and Prudence is 5, and I asked Prudence, I'm like, are you sure? It's just going to be Mom walking around looking at yarn all day. She was like, yeah, I want to learn to knit, which thrills and frightens me because she's the child that is, I would say, more alike my personality, and she gets really frustrated about things when things don't work out exactly like she wants them, and I just don't know how well knitting's going to go. And if you hear my mower guy, I'm so sorry, but this is the time I had to record, and I was like, God dang it, the mower guy's here. And if me saying God dang it offended you, I'm so sorry. It used to make my mama so mad too. And I just smile and say sorry. So, sorry. I always say that. People hate it. If you're from the South, you hate it. If you're from the North, I don't think it bothers you all that much. But Southern people just really hate you taking the Lord's name in vain. It's just one of their things. So, I also did a foolish thing this week. So I bought something on a whim and didn't bother checking my dates. So I decided I had the money to go to Rhinebeck this year. I don't have a Rhinebeck sweater, but I had the money to go to Rhinebeck and friends and stuff to stay with, which thank you so much, friends, if you're watching this, for all the offers of things, and time spent with you guys just means the world to me. But I didn't check my dates, and I'm so glad that one of my friends, Carlene, of the Made with Carlenergy podcast, though she hasn't podcasted in a while because of life stuff, which I get, and I love you, girl, and I hope that, you get settled down soon because I miss seeing your face. But she actually caught it. I had sent her a direct message on Instagram, and I was like, I'm going to Rhinebeck. And she was like, oh, isn't Rhinebeck the weekend before your plane takes off? What? I'd sent the same information to about 7 other people, and no one else had caught it but Carlene. So thank you again and again and again. And so many of my other friends, once I let them know that I am a dingbat who booked the wrong freaking dates. They were like, well, call the airlines. I am sure that, they'll see what they can do. And I did, and originally the airline said that they could change the dates no problem, but it was going to be an extra almost $200 for the tickets. And I was like, well, I mean, that's like food money, yarn money. I'm like, that made me hesitate a moment to think about it. So I asked them, well, could I just cancel it? They said, sure, no problem, even without a penalty, because I called so soon and because it was my first time doing this, and they understand people make mistakes. That was music to my ears, because who cares about insurance and stuff when you're when you're buying plane tickets on a whim? Nobody cares about insurance. I didn't get the insurance, but they refunded me my money. I got all my money back, didn't have to spend a dime. And then I was looking and looking and looking, thinking about a new plane ticket, and I found some that was still within my price range, and it was going to be great, but I don't know, it just seemed really, really impulsive, and it would leave me pretty much broke. And I mean, like I said, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have a part-time job for yarn money, but still, I don't want to deplete my savings right before my kid's birthday and Christmas and just like stick my husband with the bill either. It's nice to be able to buy my husband Christmas presents. It's nice to be able to get my kids extra stuff just because I want to without fitting it into the family finances. That's what my part-time job is. It's just free money that I can just do with what I will. And I just don't have a lot of that to blow. So I kind of started thinking about it, and I thought, maybe this is a sign that this year isn't my year for Rhinebeck, and that I can save and better budget for next year. And next year I'll actually have a sweater that I will have knit to wear. I will have, all this swag. This year I have nothing. I don't have anything that I would want to wear to Rhinebeck that I would be super proud that I knit if it was cold. Now, if it was the weather like here, I could wear my featherweight and be like, yeah, I made this. I could wear my featherweight and my loop. But yeah, so this year's not my year. To all my friends that I got excited, I'm lame and I'm a flake, and I will go. I will go eventually, just not this year. But if you're going to be at Stitches, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to give you a hug. I don't have swag. I'll have the stitch markers. So I do the stitch marker swap. Everyone always does. They usually make between 50 and 100, depending on how many days you're there. Stitch markers, and you just walk around on the floor, and basically the vendors have stitch markers to swap with you, and then a lot of people, if you wear the badge that they give you, people will stop you on the floor and say, oh, you want to switch stitch markers? And it's a good way to meet people, if I could talk. Do you want to switch stitch markers? Say that 5 times fast, I dare you. So what else? We've been riding our bike a ton. We've loved it. I've been losing weight like crazy, which is not fun, and trying to find ways to pack on the calories. So for breakfast every morning, I've been eating a sriracha mayo sandwich with fried egg and avocado. And I have been maintaining my weight, which is a huge deal. Like, maintaining weight is so hard for me. I just hope I don't lose it. And it's one of those things, like, you don't think about when you see a skinny person. You don't think, oh, well, maybe they're sensitive to this. I've had so many people call me anorexic, say that I need to eat more. They make light of it, but I struggle the same as an obese person struggles with their weight. They can't lose weight. I can't gain weight unless I'm growing a human. Basically, the only time I've ever gained weight is when I was pregnant. And all other times, if I want to be active and exercise, I have to eat like a horse and eat really high in calorie and fat foods, but I also have to be mindful about what I eat because I have gut issues. So it's a catch-22. I mean, whereas people say, oh, just eat, just drink a ton of beer and eat ice cream. It's not easy that easy for me. I am not gluten intolerant, but I'm sensitive to it. I know that when I eat it, I don't feel well and that I feel bloated. And I'm very dairy intolerant since my second pregnancy, which I think I've talked about. But yeah, so maintaining weight is a big win for me. I do feel really good health-wise lately. I think that I've had a little bit of anxiety flare-ups, which directly coincide with how many things I cast on, I've noticed. I'm like, feeling a little bit anxious, let me just grab some yarn and cast on, or buy yarn, the problems that we all struggle with. But I think my medicine's definitely helping and keeping me more balanced. What else? We watched a new movie. It's not a new movie. It was a new to me movie. I don't even know when it came out. But I'm not really into the sci-fi action-esque type stuff. I know a lot of knitters are, and that's awesome for you guys. I just would rather watch drama and suspense and things that might actually happen than sci-fi. I did love the movie Avatar, but the movie that we watched this week, my husband actually watched it and then said, I think that you'd really like this. And he showed me the trailer and I said, fine, I'll try it. Begrudgingly, I said. And I loved it. And I actually watched it again and I want to watch it again. It's one of my new favorite movies that I will watch probably a dozen times or more. And it's called Chappie. And it is about a robot that that has feelings. I think that story has been done 1,000 times, but this is a little bit different. If you're super sensitive to swearing and strong violence, it's probably not the movie for you, but it has the people from Die Antwoord in it. That's a band that I'd heard about them before, and I'd heard a few of their songs, and I liked them. But since watching Chappie, I had actually downloaded a couple of their CDs, and I really, really love it. It's sort of this like Beastie Boys-esque. It's reminiscent to me of the Beastie Boys. That rap, kind of poppy, funky music, and again, strong language throughout. Not the best lyrical content, but good dance music. It's really good dance music, and if you're a younger person, I would highly recommend checking it out. And I'm not trying to be offensive in saying that. I just don't want you to look up this band and then be incredibly offended by me liking it and recommending it. So, warning. There's a warning label on that recommendation is what I'm saying. And that is all the chatter that I had. New job stuff, awesome movie. Yeah. That's definitely all. And again, I think Atrella was having some crafts she wanted to show, so I will get her to record those as soon as she's home, which is about to be very soon. I'm about to go get her off the bus. We'll be right back.